Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new Pokemon TCG video. Before we start guys, I want to thank you guys very much for your patience, and I really want to apologize for the lack of videos within the past week and a half. I know I failed to release a single video, but I've just been so busy with all of my final exams. I finally finished them and I just needed the weekend off just to sort of recover from those exams. So again, really thank you guys very much for all your understanding. And with that, let's go and take a look at the very cool deck we'll be examining today. So today's deck is going to revolve around the Team Magma's Aggron as the main attacker. We're going to be focusing on using the Rock Stomp attack. This allows us to hit 40 damage times the number of fighting energy cards attached to all of our Pokemon that we decide to discard. So we can hit for massive amounts of damage, and Team Magma's Aggron can very quickly become a menacing Pokemon. Have to say, I'm actually pretty impressed with how well it's generally been doing. The only sorts of decks that it seems to be having incredible difficulty with is, namely speaking, the Seismitoad EX decks and the Vrisian EX Genesect EX decks. Reason for Seismitoad EX, as you guys can probably guess, is that we are running an evolution type line of Pokemon, so that's just going to make life a little bit more difficult for us to be able to really make use of our evolution Pokemon. Of course, given the fact that the Team Magma's Aggron is a stage 2 Pokemon. The other deck that we have a lot of difficulty with is the Vrisian EX Genesect EX type deck, and that's really just because of the weakness of our Team Magma's Aggron. So Vrisian EX with a Muscle Band can perform a big one-hit knockout on our Team Magma's Aggron, and of course Genesect EX can easily knock us out as well. But aside from those decks, the deck seems to perform relatively well against a whole host of different types of decks. But let's take a look at some of the supporting Pokemon that really makes Team Magma's Aggron such a fierce and menacing Pokemon once we are ultimately able to start setting it up. So one of those Pokemon is going to be the Team Magma's Camerupt, who will be using the Burning Draft ability to repeatedly look for discarded fighting energy cards and then attach it onto him. And then we can repeatedly use the Team Magma's Aggron Rock Stomp attack, discard those energy cards all over again, and hit for tons and tons of damage. So Team Magma's Camerupt is really the star supporter Pokemon in our deck, really allows our deck to run much more fluidly. The other Pokemon that we're running as well in combination with the Team Magma's Camerupt and the Team Magma's Aggron is going to be the Team Magma's Claydol. I mean, it can be a very useful Pokemon in certain sorts of situations. Magma Switch allows us to move around energy cards from one of our Team Magma Pokemon to another one of our Team Magma Pokemon. Given the fact that we're only running Team Magma's Pokemon in our deck, Magma Switch is going to be a very nice ability. Now, the one thing that does not make Team Magma's Claydol the greatest Pokemon is the fact that the Magma Switch ability only allows us to use it once in any given turn. Now that's a huge setback. I mean, unlike Aromatisse, which can move as many fairy energy cards in between Pokemon as possible, Team Magma's Claydol is only restricted to being able to use this ability once in any given turn. Nonetheless, though, I still felt like it was a worthwhile Pokemon to include because, of course, we can use the Burning Draft ability to look for those discarded fighting energy cards, attach them onto the Team Magma's Camerupts, and then Team Magma's Claydol can move around those energy cards and start loading up our benched Team Magma's Aggrons, for example, or our active Team Magma's Aggron, just so that we can hit for some more damage. So nonetheless, it is a nice Pokemon, but again, we do have to take into consideration the restriction that we're only able to use this ability once in any given turn. So with that, let's go and take a look at the very last Team Magma Pokemon, the Team Magma card that we are running in our deck, which is going to be the Team Magma Admin in this case. Very nice card, I have to say. I mean, this allows us to retreat up to 3 of our discarded Team Magma Pokemon from our discard pile and then put them back into our hand. Now this works quite well with our line of Pokemon, of course, given the fact that we're only running Team Magma Pokemon, and in case we have to discard any of them using cards such as the Juniper, Team Magma Admin is there to make life a little bit easier for us. And of course, we're running VS Seekers, so we can potentially use this card a couple of times over and over again. So just a very nice card. We're only going to be running a single copy of this in our deck, but I would highly recommend that if you guys feel like you would like to add an additional one, it's a very worthwhile card, so absolutely go for it. With that, let's go and take a look at some of the other item cards we are running in our deck. So the Ace Spec card is going to be the Computer Search. I've played numerous games with this deck. And I would have to say that the computer search is the way to go, just because we need that sort of acceleration to try and set up our strategy, because it does take a little bit of time to bring out that Team Magma's Aggron and all of our bench Pokemon. So highly recommend that you guys run the computer search. But if you really can't afford it, for example, or if you'd rather use the dowsing machine, that is another very solid option. But again, in our case, we're going to be focusing on the computer search. It's the A-spec card of choice in my opinion. So this is what we are going to be running. Some other item cards that we are running, of course, given the fact that we are running an evolution line, Rare Candy is just a very intuitive card to run in this sort of deck. We'll be running a total of 3 copies of this in our deck to try and skip the Lairon stage and evolve our Team Magma's Aggron into the Team Magma's Aggron right away. We're also running 2 sorts of switch cards. One of them is the Escape Rope and the Switch. Doesn't really need a whole lot of discussing. You guys know the basic premise behind this deck. We're running a single Professor's Letter. That is because we're running a total of 12 energy cards. Professor's Letter can be nice just to allow us to look for those energy cards. So 8 of them are fighting energies, and 4 of them are the double magma energy. Feel like double magma energy is worth discussing because given the fact that we will be discarding energy cards regardless, the really nice thing about the double magma energy is that discarding a single one of these bad boys counts for 80 damage. So it's pretty much a double fighting energy, and since we're going to be discarding them anyways, there's really no sort of drawback to running this sort of card. So we're running the max number in our deck. We're running a total of 4 copies of the double magma energy. Some other cards again that we are running, guys, we're running a total of 2 copies of the Ultra Ball, pretty much for any of our non-fighting type Pokemon. So that includes our Camerups, the Nummels, the Baltoys, and the Claydolls. We're running a total of 9 draw supporter type cards, guys. One of them is the Colress, and we are running 4 Junipers and 4 Ants. We're running a single Lysander to try and lure out one of our opponent's benched Pokemon. 3 Corinas to allow us to get both a fighting type Pokemon from our deck and any sort of item card as well. Now the very last card that I want to discuss before we take a look at what this deck is capable of is the Scorched Earth Stadium card. It's a very nice card just because we're going to be able to retrieve the energy cards that we discard using this ability. So what I mean by that is that if we decide to discard a fighting energy card from our hand and then draw onto 2 additional cards, then we can go right ahead and use the Burning Draft ability to look for those discarded fighting energy cards, attach them to the Team Magma's Camera, and then we can go and discard them all over again. So I feel like Scorched Earth is just a very nice card, and again, it ultimately allows us to get our strategy set up that much earlier, so a very worthwhile card. So with that, we are going to be able to take a look at what this deck is capable of. Again, provided that we don't come across any Genesect EX or Seismitoad EX decks, our decks should be able to perform relatively quite well against the bulk of other types of decks. It's a funny story, I was facing a Mega Gardevoir EX type deck, and we were able to load up our Pokemon before those Mega Gardevoir EXs. When that Mega Gardevoir EX was finally able to knock out our Team Magma's Aggron, I was able to hit it for 240 damage, knock it out before it was a real threat to us, and then the opponent decided to rage quit. So that was a bit of a satisfying victory. Just wanted to point that out. Okay, so let's go and bring out the Team Magma's Aggron as the active Pokemon and the Team Magma's Nummel into our bench. See what our opponent decides to bring out. Not really sure what sort of deck we will be facing this time around. And okay, so it looks like it is going to be a Empoleon type deck. So this should be an interesting battle. It's going to be Evolution Pokemon against Evolution Pokemon. So that's kind of cool. I do like to mix things up a little bit from time to time. So let's go and attach a Fighting Energy card to our bench, Team Magma's Aggron. Use the Juniper to get some new cards in our hand. Lay down the Team Magma's Baltoy. And then we're gonna go and end our turn. Should be able to knock out our opponent's Piplup during our next turn. We do have the Rare Candy at hand and the Team Magma's Aggron. So with the double Magma energy, we are able to hit for 80 damage, more than enough to knock out our opponent's Piplup. So hopefully our opponent is able to bring out a bench Pokemon. Otherwise, we will be able to go on to the victory. Looks like the opponent is just taking his time. Okay, so we are seeing the Duskull come out. So it looks like we're not going to get the one-hit knockout and a Dive Ball as well. So that's kind of good. Didn't really want such an easy victory anyways. So we are going to see another Piplup come out into the bench. And I'll probably be using the end during our turn, guys. We'll pretty much be playing down our entire hand during the next turn. Of course, unless our opponent decides to use a card such as the N, which would pretty much ruin our strategy. So let's see what our opponent is going to do. We also have one of our clay dolls into the discard pile and the Lysander as well. So those are just some cards to keep in mind when potentially deciding whether or not I would like to use the VS Seeker or the Team Magma admin card in case this Team Magma's clay doll happens to get knocked out, for example. So again, just waiting to see what our opponent decides to do. It looks like he's going to attach a wider energy card to his active public. See, this is normally why I try to attach energy cards to our bench Pokemon, because I don't really know if our Team Magma's Aggron would have gotten knocked out, so that's why I decided to attach a fighting energy card to our bench Team Magma's Aggron. Again, that Piplup is probably going to get knocked out before it's ultimately able to attack us, so that's kind of nice. We're also seeing a Miltank come out. It also has the fighting weakness, so that's just going to allow us to be able to knock it out that much easier. So let's go and use the rare candy, bring out the Team Magma's Aggron, bring out a Team Magma's Cleedol as well, the Scorched Earth, the double Magma energy, and we're going to use the Juniper. I'd rather draw into 7 cards as opposed to a mere 6. And okay, so we have a Team Magma's Leron, another Team Magma's Normal. We're going to use the Scorched Earth Stadium card. Awesome, looks like we have a Camerupt as well. Let's go and use that Burning Draft ability. Look for a fighting energy card. And we're going to go and bring out another one of our Team Magma's Baltoys. Again, I do have to remember that our other Team Magma's Cleedol is knocked out, but I have a feeling we're probably going to be able to retrieve it later on into the game. So let's go and use the Magma Switch, move that fighting energy card to our other Team Magma's Leron, the Rock Stomp attack, and then we're going to go and knock out our opponent's Piplup for 80 damage, and then draw onto our very first prize card. Yeah, so we don't have any more fighting energy cards in our discard pile, but that's okay. We can repeatedly get them into the discard pile using the Scorched Earth Stadium card, and then the Team Magma's Camerups are able to retrieve them. So as you guys can see, our deck is already able to get going. So with all the Karinas, rare candies, and things like that we're running, usually we are able to bring out the Team Magma's Aggrons relatively quite early, which is something I really like about this deck. If we are seeing the Empoleon come out during this turn, I think I should be able to knock it out. Okay, so we are seeing the Ultra Ball, and I'm thinking our opponent possibly has the rare candy at hand. Yeah, so we are seeing the Ultra Ball and the Empoleon Skyla. So yeah, that Empoleon is certainly going to come out, and it's probably going to use its Diving Draw ability to allow our opponent to draw onto some additional cards. So again, I feel like our Team Magma's Aggron should be able to survive, and we should hopefully be able to knock out our opponent's Empoleon during our turn. We are seeing the Attack Command hitting us for 90 damage, not enough for our opponent to be able to knock us out just yet, which is quite fortunate for us. And okay, so I mean, I could use another Juniper. I really don't want to use an N and help out our opponent. I could also use the Switch, the Karina. Okay, so currently I would only be able to hit for 120 damage, so I would need at the very least another energy card. I think I'm gonna go right ahead and use the Juniper, guys. I feel like this is the way to go. So let's go right ahead, use the Juniper. I know we're discarding a whole ton of useful cards, but again, I feel like it's a worthwhile sacrifice. And okay, so we're gonna get another Team Magma's Aggron and another fighting energy card, so that's good. Just enough for us to be able to knock out our opponent's Empoleon. So let's go and use the Burning Draft ability, look for that fighting energy card, use the Team Magma's Claydol Magma Switch ability, move that energy card onto the Team Magma's Aggron, Rock Stomp, and discard all of our fighting energy cards and hit that one, hit our opponent's Empoleon for that 160 damage for the one-hit knockout. Awesome, looks like we are also able to draw onto the Team Magma admin, so I can retrieve the other Team Magma's Claydol that is in our discard pile. I mean, at the time, he's the only other Pokemon that we have in our discard pile, so I don't really feel like it's a worthwhile card to use just yet. The Miltank probably won't be able to hit us for a whole ton of damage unless our opponent is able to evolve his Duskull into the Dusknoir this turn. And okay, so it looks like our opponent is going to quit. So yeah, I feel like you guys got a pretty good understanding of what this deck is capable of. But let's go and find ourselves another opponent just so that you guys can get a bit of a better idea of really what it's capable of. Yeah, so that was an interesting battle. The Empoleon is a pretty solid deck for the most part, given the fact that we were able to overpower it just so quickly. Just goes to show the strength of the Team Magma's Aggron when played properly. So really hoping not for a Seismitoad EX deck. And okay, so it looks like this time we're going to be facing a fire type deck. I'm assuming it's probably going to be Pyroar, which is kind of nice because we are running some evolution Pokemon regardless, so Pyroar probably won't really be able to slow us down a whole ton. Possibly Heatmore deck as well. But again, I'm not really entirely sure. So it looks like we are going to start first. That's always nice. I'll always take the opportunity to start first whenever I am given it. So let's go and bring out the Team Magma's Aggron as the active Pokemon. Lay down a Team Magma's normal as well. And okay, so we're seeing the Camera Up EX. Okay, so that's another very interesting deck. Let's go and use the Scorched Earth Stadium card to draw onto 2 additional cards. I do have the Professor's Letter. Don't think our Team Magma's Aggron would be getting knocked out during the very first turn, so let's go and use the Professor's Letter and attach a single Fighting Energy card to our Team Magma's Aggron, and then we're going to go and use the N for some new cards in our hand, and then we're going to go right ahead and end our turn. Not really sure what our opponent is talking about. But I'll just say I traded for it because pretty much every card that I have, guys, I have traded for them. That includes the full art cards, the energy cards, things like that. It just did a whole ton of trading when things were a little bit cheaper. So we are seeing the blacksmith come out, hoping that our opponent does not get the heads, and awesome, looks like he is going to get the tails, so the Team Magma's Aggron is going to be able to survive for this turn, so that's kind of nice. Let's go and use the Scorched Earth Stadium card once again to discard another Fighting Energy card. And okay, so I do have the Karina, the Ultra Ball as well. I don't think I can knock out our opponent's Camera Up EX just yet, guys. So let's go and attach a double Magma Energy to the Team Magma's Aggron. We'll be attacking with it, absolutely. I could lure out our opponent's Reshiram again. I'm just trying to think. I mean, our opponent is just blabbering on right now. So I will be using the N absolutely as well. Okay, so let's go and use the Ultra Ball, discard the Escape Rope, and the N from our hand to look for the Team Magma's Aggron. We'll be attacking. Hopefully it doesn't get knocked out during our next turn, but chances are it probably will. So let's go and use the Rare Candy, bring out the Team Magma's Aggron, and then I'm going to go and use the Juniper for some new cards in our hand. Okay, so we do have a Team Magma's Camera as well, so that's kind of nice. Let's go and use the Burning Draft ability, look for a Fighting Energy card, attach it to him, use the Rock Stomp attack, and hit our opponent's Camera Up DX for 160 damage. Again, not able to knock it out just yet, but hopefully we should be able to knock it out during our next turn, maybe, potentially. Again, I'm not entirely sure. And I trade them all in the public chat, so in public lobby, I guess you could say. But yeah, so I don't really purchase a whole ton of cards or anything like that either. So again, our opponent is just asking a whole ton of questions. So my apologies, guys, if my attention is just sort of flaring. The Camera Up DX will be able to knock out our Team Magma's Aggron during this turn, though. So we will be bringing out the Team Magma's Baltoy for the time being. And seeing what cards we have in the discard pile. So we do have the Karina. So yeah, let's go and bring out the Team Magma's Baltoy for the time being. And then use the Scorched Earth Stadium card to draw onto 2 additional cards. And okay, so now we have the Claydol as well. Let's go and bring out the Team Magma's Claydol. And then use the VS Seeker to look for the Karina. I would like to start loading up a couple of our Team Magma's Aggrons, things like that. So let's go and grab onto one of our errands, bring it into the bench, and then the computer search. Yeah, I'm gonna look for the computer search, guys. I may just have to use it to look for one of our Team Magma's Aggrons, just to be able to knock out our opponent's Team Magma's Camera Up DX. So let's go and bring out that Team Magma's Aggron, use the Burning Draft ability to attach a Fighting Energy card, and then we're gonna go and use the Magma Switch before our Team Magma's Claydol gets knocked out. And yeah, so that's pretty much it, unfortunately. So I'm gonna go and have to end our turn. Finally, our opponent has stopped asking questions. Again, my apologies. I'm not really good at paying attention to the game and really being able to answer all these questions, just because I would like my focus to be on us being able to really make all the right decisions. We are seeing the Blacksmith come out as well, so our Team Magma's Claydol is going to get knocked out, but our opponent's Team Magma's Camera Up EX, our opponent's Camera Up EX is also going to get knocked out as well. So that's kind of cool. Once our Team Magma's Aggron does come out, we should be able to sort of tip the favor of the game back into our favor. So let's go and bring out the Team Magma's Aggron, and then use the Scorched Earth Stadium card once again. And let's go and bring out the Numel for the time being. Use the computer search to discard the Juniper from our hand, because I'd rather use the Colress, to be honest. Don't want to be discarding our other Claydol. Actually, let's see if we have both of our Baltoys. Yeah, so I don't want to discard the other Claydol just yet. So let's go and get rid of that Juniper from our hand and the double Magma energy to look for one of our Team Magma's Aggrons. Use the rare candy to bring him out. Attach a double Magma energy onto him, and then we're gonna go and use the Burning Draft ability to look for a Fighting Energy card, use the Colress, and lay down another one of our errands. Let's go right ahead, use the Rock Stomp attack. Unfortunately, the double Magma energy gets discarded at the end of the turn anyways, so we might as well discard it when getting rid of our opponent's Camera-Up EX to draw onto two of our prize cards. So I feel like now the game is in our favor. Don't really see our Team Magma's Aggron as getting knocked out in a single turn unless our opponent is able to attach 3 fire energy cards to his Reshiram and a muscle band, in which case it would be able to hit us for a massive 140 damage, just enough to knock out our Team Magma's Aggron. So that would sort of be the worst case scenario, but again, I don't think that our opponent would be able to perform such a feat, at least not just yet. So of course I could be wrong. Okay, looks like our Team Magma's Aggron is going to get Lysandered out, and awesome, looks like our opponent is not really able to attack it just yet. So let's go and discard a Fighting Energy card. And okay, so awesome, looks like we have the switch, but Team Magma's Claydol would be nice during this time just because I would be able to switch around those energy cards. Unfortunately, I don't have that just yet. Let's go and use the switch to bring out the Team Magma's Aggron, attach a Fighting Energy card to him, use the Karina to look for another one of our errands, and then one more of the rare candies. And then let's go right ahead and bring out another one of our Team Magma's Aggrons. Retrieve 2 more Fighting Energy cards from the discard pile using the Burning Draft ability, and then we're going to be able to knock out our opponent's Reshiram with a single attack. So as you guys can see, once our strategy really gets kicking, it's really hard to slow us down. So let's go and discard 4 energy cards, hit our opponent's Reshiram for 160 damage, and then draw onto one more of our prize cards. And it looks like it is going to be a Baltoy, but unfortunately I don't really have any space for it just yet, so I may just have to use the Juniper, unfortunately, for us to be able to draw onto some additional cards. Maybe I may use the N as well. But again, I'll sort of see and gauge the situation with respects to what sort of move I would instead prefer to do. But I feel like Juniper, actually I only have 11 cards in our deck remaining, something that unfortunately I seem to sort of overlook far too often. So yeah, so maybe using the N would be the wiser choice. I'm ashamed to admit how many times I tend to deck out without really paying attention. So this time at least it caught my attention. I mean, I'm sure some of you guys have seen that video where I had posted thinking that I had won the game, but in reality I had decked out. So alright, so let's see what our opponent decides to do. We are seeing another Reshiram come out. Not really going to, I don't really think our opponent is going to be able to attack us just yet. Of course, unless he is able to use another one of his blacksmiths. So our Team Magma's Aggrons is really pushing our opponent and giving him an incredibly difficult time. So that is quite nice for us. He has a whole ton of fire energy cards in his discard pile, my goodness. He really needs some blacksmiths. And it looks like our opponent is also running Scorched Earth, which in this case seems to be working against him. We're seeing the Caitlyn supporter card as well. Very unusual. Definitely would not recommend it. I don't think it's a solid stadium card by any means. But let's go and use the N, guys, and see what we're able to draw into. Okay, so we have another Team Magma's later on, so that's kind of nice. Hopefully we should start being able to load up our next couple of Team Magma's Aggrons, and it doesn't look like we'll be able to attack this turn, guys. Let's go and use the Burning Draft ability to look for 2 Fighting Energy cards from the discard pile and then attach them to the Team Magma's Camera-Ups, and then unfortunately we're going to have to end the turn once again. So we only have 4 energy cards. Oh my goodness, so I think we have all of our energy cards into the discard pile. Okay, so we should have one more Fighting Energy card in our deck and one more double Magma Energy, provided that they're not prized. So Team Magma's Claydol would be very crucial at this point, just because I'm not really able to attack with the Team Magma's Aggron for the time being. So that seems like we could be in a little bit of a sticky situation. Luckily though, we still have one more Team Magma's Baltoy and Team Magma's Claydol in our deck, so hopefully it doesn't cost us the game. I was a little bit neglectful, a little bit bashful, I guess even you can say, with how many energy cards I had been discarding with these Scorched Earth. So that is something that you guys want to pay attention to as well. I mean, 12 energy cards is certainly more than enough to propagate our deck and allow us to hit for a whole ton of damage. But again, we do have to be careful, just because I already have so many into the discard pile, and I don't have any sort of switching mechanism, given the fact that one of our Team Magma's Claydolls is in our discard pile, and all of our bench slots are currently full. So, let's see what our opponent decides to do. I mean, he has a whole ton of energy cards into his discard pile as well. We are seeing so many energy cards, I don't even know if I would recommend running that many, because I mean, we see some energy cards attached to our opponent's Reshiram, and we see a total of 4, 10, 11 fire energy cards into the discard pile, 1 double colorless energy as well. So I have absolutely no idea how many energy cards our opponent is running in his deck, but I feel like it's probably a little bit too much. Maybe our opponent is just thinking right now he could have potentially disconnected as well. Doesn't really seem like the type of guy that would be wasting our time, but ultimately I do feel like we would have been ultimately able to overpower our opponent and take the victory. Yeah, so it looks like our opponent probably disconnected. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. Thank you guys very much for watching. Again, I really want to apologize for how long it's taken me to release this video, but I have finished my exams, so you guys can expect a whole ton more videos. Again, thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time.